They didn't just lie on you. They built a world around that lie. And now that world is starting to collapse. Because the real you, the quiet you, the buried you, has started to rise. They told everyone you were the problem, but now they're the ones people are starting to question. They cast you as the shadow. But the more you glowed in silence, the more their story started to rot in daylight. So here's the question the Spirit is asking right now. Were you buried, or were you planted? Were you rejected, or were you set apart? Did they expose you, or did heaven unveil you? You're not crazy for feeling like none of it ever fit. The slander, the smear, the silent rooms, the people who loved the fake version of you because it made them feel safe. That version of you, the one they passed around like a twisted rumor, was never yours to defend. Because the truth isn't loud. It's eternal. And now it's showing up in your energy, your presence, your peace. They tried to kill your reputation, but all they did was water the roots of something they can't uproot. You are the contradiction, the evidence, the prophecy walking back into the room fully clothed in glory. Welcome to Chosen One Sanctuary. This isn't a channel, it's a sacred signal for the misjudged, the mislabeled, the misrepresented, for the ones who carry truth so heavy, it cracks every lie around them. Isaiah 54:17 says, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn." But sometimes that condemning doesn't come through vengeance, it comes through vindication. When your life becomes a mirror so clear, even your enemies start questioning what they believe. Stay with me until the very end, because what you're about to hear may explain why they lied, why it hurt, and why you're still standing. There's a scroll with your name on it, and tonight, we begin to unseal it. The lie is falling. And you, chosen one, are the proof it never had power to begin with. The proof was in the attack. They didn't come for you because you were weak. They came for you because you were marked. Hell doesn't waste energy on what's ordinary. The intensity of their lie revealed the truth of your assignment. You weren't attacked because you were lost. You were attacked because you were found first. Long before they ever opened their mouths, heaven had already opened a scroll. Think of Joseph. His brothers hated him not because he failed, but because he dreamed. The coat wasn't just colorful, it was confirmation. And just like Joseph, you were thrown into pits, misunderstood in rooms you were called to rescue, targeted by those who should have known your heart. You weren't the threat. You were the exposure. They knew your presence would shift the atmosphere, that your clarity would disturb their illusions, that your very existence would dismantle the mask they wore so well. So they lied. Early, boldly, publicly, but in doing so, they gave heaven permission to reverse the charge, because every accusation became a seed, and every seed was buried in the soil of divine reversal. This is why the gossip had weight, why the smear campaign felt surgical, why the betrayal felt scripted. Because it was. The enemy needed an early record of slander to delay the scroll from opening. But it didn't work, because the anointing still found you. And now, so has the light. Even hell couldn't stop what heaven already named. The proof was never in your defense. It was in their obsession. Their attack confirmed your calling. And the more they screamed, the more the Spirit whispered, "Watch, I will make the lie expose itself." The enemy told the world who you were, but God let time reveal who they weren't. Let that settle like sacred thunder in your chest, the silence that broke the spell. You didn't vanish. You were being veiled. While they paraded their version of your story, you entered into holy silence. Not to hide, but to be held. Not to disappear, but to be refined. Silence in the life of a chosen one is not absence. It is surveillance. Heaven was watching, and so was hell. Moses fled Egypt, not as a failure, but as a weapon God refused to release too early. He was hidden in Midian, where the noise of Pharaoh couldn't reach and the voice of purpose could rise. Just like you. When they stopped seeing you, heaven started shaping you. You weren't forgotten, you were in formation. They mistook your silence for surrender. But silence is the only language deep enough to carry spiritual authority. While they told stories, you were building strength. While they shouted lies, you were stitching truth into your bones. And here's the secret. The more still you became, the louder the lies unraveled. Because once you stepped away, the dysfunction had no more decoy. You left, but the chaos stayed. And the room they blamed you for kept breaking without you in it. This is how the spell broke, not by confrontation, but by absence. Not with proof, but with peace. The lie couldn't hold its shape without your presence, and the silence you carried became the storm they couldn't calm. Even your stillness carried thunder, and now they're afraid of the quiet. Feel that breath in your chest? That's not escape. That's deliverance. Forged in fire, not opinion. You didn't survive that season. You became through it. The betrayal wasn't random. The exile wasn't accidental. What they meant to use to destroy your confidence, God used to refine your discernment. Because when you're chosen, comfort cannot birth the version of you that destiny requires. Job lost everything, not because he sinned, but because he was trusted. Trusted to endure. Trusted to be transformed. Trusted to come out on the other side undeniable. And you were trusted too. The fire wasn't judgment, it was inheritance in disguise. That season of humiliation, of whispers behind closed doors, of showing up with a smile while bleeding on the inside, it didn't harden you. It hollowed you out for glory. The parts of you that died in that season, they were never meant to survive the calling anyway. They said you were unstable, but it was the shaking that made your roots go deeper. They said you were finished, but it was the fire that made your soul unbreakable. And now, when you walk into a room, something sacred walks in with you. Not because you scream, but because you carry the sound of someone who made it through flames without losing their softness. The fire didn't scorch you, it crowned you, and now the ones who watched you burn are watching you rise. Do you feel it? You're no longer explaining, you're embodying. Let that silence become your scepter. The cost of silence, the weight of ignoring. Not everyone makes it out. Some settle in the lie because it feels safer than the unknown. There are chosen ones still pretending to be what the accusation named them. Still shrinking to fit the false narrative because the truth feels too large to carry. This is where the weight truly is. Not in rejection, but in resistance to awakening. Think of Jonah, a prophet on the run, not because he was unqualified, but because the weight of the assignment made disobedience feel easier. But disobedience has a storm attached to it, and the longer you delay your scroll, the louder the storm becomes. Avoiding the call doesn't remove the call, it just delays the reward. Heaven doesn't revoke what it has sealed. But when you stay silent in the face of alignment, something holy begins to decay. Your energy bends inward, your gifts stagnate, and you start suffocating under the mask you agreed to wear. There is always a cost to ignoring the signs. There is always a consequence to shrinking when heaven calls you to expand. Some of the people who slandered you were chosen too, but they rejected the refining. And now they attack what they secretly were called to become. Don't be them. Don't let the fear of visibility rob you of divine inheritance. Your silence has done its work. Now your sound must carry what your suffering carved out. Let your truth rise like incense from the ashes. Supernatural authority, the power they can't touch. You're not walking the same. Because you're not from the same anymore. The old version of you needed approval. This version only needs alignment. The power you carry now isn't loud. It's holy. And it's causing disruptions in rooms where control once ruled. Jesus didn't beg for thrones. He walked through storms with command. He spoke, and wind obeyed. Not because of position, because of essence. Real power isn't declared, it's revealed. You were hidden long enough to become dangerous. Not to people, but to systems, to deception, to manipulation, to spiritual masks that can't breathe in your presence anymore. Your discernment is sharper. Your peace is heavier. Your gaze more piercing. And now people are sensing it. They don't know what changed. They just know their masks don't fit in your light. You didn't become loud. You became legitimate. And legitimacy carries weight. When the Spirit rests on someone, it doesn't need an announcement. It's felt. And you, chosen one, have become undeniable. The authority was always in you. Now, it's on you. Let that settle like oil upon the crown. Heaven's scroll is being handed back. You didn't lose your assignment. It was sealed until your spirit could carry it. The delay wasn't punishment, it was protection. From premature release, from performance-based ministry, from the trap of needing applause before activation. Esther didn't walk into the palace the day she was chosen. She was prepared in silence, anointed in obscurity, positioned in a place where only one moment would make the entire waiting make sense. This is your Esther moment. The scroll is opening, not to be read, but to be released. Your voice carries weight now. Your walk is not aimless. Your steps are scrolls. God is commissioning you, not to perform, but to reveal, not to convert, but to carry. Everything they tried to bury is now fruit, and the fruit doesn't lie. This isn't a restart. This is the release. Let the silence break into sound. Let the scroll fall into your hands again. It's time. The rise of the misjudged ones. You were never alone. You were just early. All across the world, the misjudged are rising. The misnamed, the misunderstood, the ones the world tried to erase before heaven unveiled them. David was anointed in private before he was accepted in public. You, too, were crowned in rooms no one applauded. You, too, heard the whispers and still chose to rise. The rejected ones are the remnant ones. You're part of a divine network. Souls scattered across nations now waking up to a frequency that feels like home. Chosen ones. Sanctuary isn't a channel. It's a confirmation that others like you exist. You were never crazy. You were called. And now the called are becoming the commissioned. Feel that pull in your spirit? That's not emotion. That's remnant recognition. The real ones are rising, and their sound is unstoppable. You were always the echo. You didn't go through all that pain to stay silent. Your story carries sound, not volume, echo. An echo doesn't ask for permission. It moves through walls, it bends through time, it lives longer than the original voice. Everything you overcame, every scar, every silent night, every false accusation, is now echoing through others who didn't yet know they had the strength to survive. You are the sound of survival turned into strategy. Your life is no longer just testimony. It's a trumpet, and the enemy knows it. That's why they tried to ruin you before the sound could rise. But it's too late. The echo has already begun. And you're just getting started. Let this truth sit in your bones like sacred thunder. You are the opposite of what they said. And now, everyone knows it. They didn't just lie to discredit you. They lied to delay you. But heaven used that delay to disguise you, not as punishment, but as prophecy and progress. Because what they buried wasn't your reputation. It was your revelation. You weren't delayed. You were disguised, hidden for a holy hour, preserved in silence, prepared in secret, so that when your truth finally surfaced, it would speak for itself. And now it does. Louder than the accusations, softer than revenge, stronger than every false word spoken in the dark. Chosen one. You passed through fire. You did not flinch. You walked away from the noise. You did not lose your sound. You stood in silence, and heaven heard you. And now, your scroll is open. You are not the version they told the world. You are the evidence of everything their lie couldn't kill. You are the living contradiction, the prophecy that refused to be erased. You have been concealed. You have been confirmed. And now you are being commissioned. Comment 77 below if this word found your spirit and unlocked what they tried to hide. Drop your confirmation in the comments. What part hit hardest? What lie did this message finally unravel? Let your voice become someone else's echo. And if you felt heaven all over this word, subscribe and stay connected to Chosen One Sanctuary. This isn't just a message. It's a movement. You are not alone. You are the next echo.